Thank you. So once again, we gathered here today, and I would like to extend my very warm greetings and warm welcome again. As today is a very auspicious day, the triple holy day of the International Vesak. So on such a day, of course, whatever we do, it is a great merit. We as a human being, in our life, there are many requirements. We need many things, but the most important thing is spiritual path, because all the other things are only temporary, and the spiritual path is the one that goes all the way, not only in this life but next life and next life and next life, so all the way through. So therefore the spiritual life is very very important. And according to the teachings, that every sentient being possesses the Buddha nature. In a sense, the true nature of our mind is pure right from the beginning, and it is never strained with the obscurations. And it is the Buddha, the true nature of the sentient being's mind, and the true nature of the Buddha's wisdom. There is no difference. As a sentient being and the Buddha, there is of course vast difference. But in its true nature is concerned, there is no difference. But the difference between sentient being and Buddha is that although we possess the Buddha nature, we possess the true nature of our mind is pure and Buddha nature, but it is completely covered with the obscurations. The obscuration of the defilements and the obscuration of the phenomena. So as long as we have the obscurations, we could never manifest the nature, true nature of the Buddha. And we are caught up in the samsara, and we experience so much sufferings. So in the samsara, no matter where you are, either in lower realms or higher realms, as long as it is a samsara, it is a suffering. The nature of the fire is hot, whether it is a small fire or a big fire. Similarly, the nature of the samsara is suffering. So therefore, we need to overcome the samsara, suffering of samsara. And to overcome the suffering of samsara, the only way to overcome the suffering of samsara is to practice Dharma. Only through the practice of Dharma that one could overcome the suffering of samsara. And although every sentient being possesses the Buddha nature, tiny from insects, from germs to the human being, everyone possesses the Buddha nature. But the human beings have the best chance, because the human beings have being able to speak and being able to understand, and also has the intelligence. So the human mind is much more powerful than any other living beings. So therefore, the human power is very important, most important. and this human life is not easy to gain. Although there are a lot of human beings, but when you compare with the other living beings, the human beings are few in number. It's easy to count how many people living in the country, but it's impossible to count how many insects, even in a small place. So therefore, when you compare with the other living beings, the human life is very few in number. And so the human life is very difficult to obtain. In order to obtain the human life, we need to accumulate great merits and great prayers and great virtuous deeds, especially the virtuous deeds of the pure good moral conduct, pure good moral, without which that you cannot really gain the without good moral conduct, that you cannot gain the human life. So the human life is very precious, especially the human life which is endowed with all the prerequisite is very difficult to obtain from many points of view. And so while we have the human life, our most important thing in life to practice is the law of karma, because the Buddha has said that everything which we encounter in our life, the happiness, sufferings, everything, does not mean that they don't have the cause. Also does not mean that they come from the wrong cause. Each and everything must have its own unique causes, and that is the karma. There are many different beliefs. Some say there's Creator creates everything, and so on. But according to the Buddhism, there's no Creator as such. Creator is ourselves. We ourselves, we create the karma, and the karma reflects and ripens on due course, which then experience these kind of lives that which we have. And so the karma is very important. Karma is very important because the whole world is called the land of the karma. And this karma, if you did not commit, then you will not meet the result. If you not meet the if you not meet the karma, you will not meet the result. And whatever the karma that you have created, even it goes with hundreds of years, it will not fade away. It will ripen still in whoever does it, it causes. And so therefore that we must we pray not to have a sickness, not to have bad lucks and so on. But just praying, it will not work. Prayer also, of course, powerful. Prayer also is helpful, but prayer alone will not get all the answers. But if we act our own, if we create good karma, that will definitely brings the good fortunes. And so therefore it is very important to work on the karma. How the karma is created. Basically, it is all due to the ignorance, not knowing the true nature of the mind. Instead of seeing the true nature of the mind, that we cling as a self without any logical reasons. If there is a self, it has to be either name, body, or mind. Name is empty by itself. Any name could be given at any time. Body means many things, from head to toe. There are so many different parts. So if you take each part, that is not self. Each part is different. Each part has its own way, its own names, its own function. And then mind also, the mind is momentarily changing. The past mind is already ceased, future mind is yet to rise, and the present mind is also momentarily changing. So something that is changing momentarily also could not be the self. So where is the self? Apart from body and mind. Even in our ordinary usage, we talk about, like when you say my body, we say like my possessions, my house, my car, etc. So when you say my car, the car belongs to you, but the car itself is not you, but the car belongs to you. Similarly, we say like my body, so that means the body belongs to you, but the body is not you, but the body belongs to you. Similarly, we say like my mind. So when you say my mind, that mind also belongs to you. But now the one who owns your possessions, your body, your mind, if you try to investigate, you cannot find. You cannot find anywhere. So instead of seeing the true nature of the mind, we cling as a self without any logical reasons. Because we have the strong habitual tendency that builds up from the beginningless time until now. So due to this, automatically we think that as the I and the mind, etc. But there's no real I and real mind. And then we create karma. So instead of seeing the true nature of the mind, we cling as self. So when you have the self, then you have the others automatically. Just like the right and left. If there's a right side, there's got to be left side. You can't have the right side alone. So similarly, when you have the self, there is the others. So when you have the others, then when you have the self and the others, then there's attachment to one's own side, and anger to the others. So in this way, so it all comes from the ignorance, not knowing the reality, due to the lack of wisdom, that we, instead of seeing the true nature, we cling as a self, as though that is the biggest ignorance. And from this ignorance then arises the desire for one's own side and anger for the others. So in this way it forms the three main defilements. And then from this then forms the pride, stinginess, and jealousy, etc. And then when you have these, out of these, then we create the karmas, like physical actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. And so when we take actions, then it is just like planting a seed on the fertile ground, that in due course that it yields results. And so then when we indulge, we have physical actions such as like killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and verbal actions like lying, schism, and covetousness, and idle talks, and then mental actions like hatred and covetousness and wrong views. So and when we take this kind of negative deeds, then it produces the negative deeds. Negative deeds then produces the result, which is all the negative things that which we experience, such as like short life, sickness, poverty, not being able to fulfill your wishes, the failures, unsuccessful, etc. All the negative things that arises from indulging the non-virtuous deeds. And so today's topic is actually how to take a pain and sickness into the path. So when you indulge negative deeds, non-virtuous deeds, and then when the result arises and experience, then of course we cannot do anything. Whatever happens in our life, one should try to adjust, and one should try to be not panic, and to try to be relaxed. That is the most important thing. If you are sick, physically sick, very sick, and very unbearable pains, and then instead of putting a burden to your mind, that you should think of that having sickness is a good, positive thing, because by having sickness and by having experience, painful experience, that you are shedding your negative karmas. So when you are shedding your negative karmas in this life, so your next life will be brighter. You will no need to fall down in the lower realms. Even if this life is very happy, if you fall down in the next life in the lower realms, where there is enormous sufferings. So the lower arm suffering, even the slightest part of the lower arm sufferings, that could not be represent enormous sufferings of here. As it is said in the Sutta Dalika, that in somebody striking on your body 300 times with a spear, of course that is a very, very cruel and that is very painful. But they say this is the slightest, only slightest suffering in the lower arms. So by having pains and by experiencing the pains will shade the negative karmas that will cause to be born in the lower arms. It's a good thing. So one should be happy, and all the practice that we do, are also for purifying the negative deeds. So having pain and sickness is a practice. So in this way it is a practice, because practice means purification, and having sickness is also like purification, purifying. And so therefore, instead of suffering in the lower arms in the future, if you suffer in this life and having sickness and pains, will be a positive thing. And if you are not sick also, of course, it's a very good thing, because when your body and mind are healthy, then you can do virtuous deeds, you can do practice. And when we do practice, you will accumulate merits. When you accumulate merits, then you will be able to proceed further on the path. So in this way, you can take the disease into the path, the sickness into the path. Otherwise, when we are sick and when we have pains, that if you more burden on while we are physically sick, mentally also, if you take it as a burden, then it is double. And then, but if you take it, even though you are physically sick, but if you are mentally, if you take it as a light, then it is much better, but much lighter, much more lighter. So in this way, since everything is mind, if the mind is like more taking the light, then it becomes easier. And so the mind is the most important thing, and the mind must be controlled. Otherwise, if your mind also suffers, physically you are suffering already, and on the top of that, if your mind also suffers, then it kind of becomes double. Even though you are physically sick, but if your mind takes it light and mind thinks in a positive way, then it becomes much more easier. In any case, for practitioner, if you are a good practitioner, then whatever happens in your life, everything becomes practice. The sickness, pains, the disasters, whatever, everything becomes practice. So the practice will make it further, proceed further on the path. And in this way, it makes much more easier. to be on the path. Mind, after all, mind is the most important thing. And mind, if your mind is happy, then no matter where you are, we are happy. If your mind is not happy, even you are in the most beautiful place, most nice place, that where you are, one is not happy. So after all, everything is mind. Mind, if your mind thinks is something very terrible things is happening, then it is much worse. But if your mind takes a lighter, then it becomes a little much more easier. So the main thing is that if we take everything into the path, good or bad, everything into the path. Whatever happens in our life, that we should try to take it into the path. The good practitioners takes everything into the path. So in this way so now instead of for me to talking, that if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer.